Hey fellow terrainers, this is Kit. Today I was going to be talking about how to make one of these cutting jigs. I made one of these out of necessity when I first started, just simply because I got tired of measuring every single cut. And this works pretty well. It's a very simple jig. All it is a couple pieces of foam core, some thumbtacks, some chipboard, a metal straight edge. I'm using my ruler, but any piece of metal or straight solid flat line will work. And today I'm going to show you how to make this. So how this works is, after it's assembled, you just get a piece of foam core. So I have mine made so that it can fit a full piece within 20 inches. Slide it in, and then you just cut along the flat edge of the metal ruler, and you get yourself a precise cut. And off. Get your cut. Now, I don't cut all the way through typically to protect the table underneath. This is just a piece of foam core, so if you're cutting deeply, it will hurt the damage the surface underneath, but as long as you cut lightly, you don't have to worry about that. So I make my first strips, and I slide it in, and then I start making little squares. And that's all it is. So anyway, today I'm going to show you how to make one of these pretty much from scratch. So I'm going to take my ruler out. And let's start with cutting fresh pieces. So all you're going to need for building one of these jigs is 2 pieces of foam core, roughly about the same size. These pieces are, I think, 24 inches by 11 inches. It's just whatever I had on hand. And I've already cut on these some, they're just scrap pieces. But get 2 pieces relatively the same size, some chipboard, I'm using the back of the Eggo box, a protractor to make sure you got 90 degrees cuts. This is going to be really helpful. Make sure that your jig is square, making sure that your squares are then square, and then some thumbtacks. These are optional, you can use tape, but I find these handy for using it over and over. So first thing I did is I cut a brand new line. So I put my straight edge across the foam core. I then taped down the edges and then cut myself a straight edge. From there, use my protractor, sit along that edge to find myself a 90-degree angle and cut a couple of lines. Did the same thing on this side. Now at this point, I'm just scoring. I'm not actually going all the way through. Also measured an arbitrary amount in. I just used the end of my straight edge, or the end of my protractor to get the even depth in. And then I cut another shallow line using a straight edge. So once I have that, this is where I am currently. I'm then going to measure in 1.5 inches from the line I'm planning on cutting out. Make a small little tick. Now I know this is going to be hard to see on video, but I can see where my ticks are. And that's what's important. And now all we're going to do is white straight edge where you need it. And then we're going to get a chipboard. I'm going to need to make 2 little bands to hold it in place. These do not have to be precise, they're just merely there to hold it, so looking pretty is entirely optional. What you're going to do with the chipboard is you're going to wrap it around your ruler. And you want to make sure this is tight. So I'm going to come over till I'm about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way around the top side. Make sure that's nice and snug. Wrap it back over. And I'm going to have a little bit extra. I want to keep that. So that's going to be one side of the band. The other side, I'm going to do exactly the same way. So get 2 sides. And now we're going to go ahead and wrap these over. and I'm going to position them on the outside of this cutout. Now, you notice I have not cut all the way through this yet. That's going to help keep the ruler straight and level just for when I'm tacking this in place. I can see my little nicks that I made in the foam core at the 1.5 inch mark. I'm going to put the outside edge of the straight edge on that line. Make sure you're precise, because this is going to be the rule that all your squares are going to be cut by. So make sure that is nice and right where you want it. Grab some tape, take that down to make sure it's not going anywhere. Double check your measurements. The saying is measure twice, cut once. And now we're going to be ready to glue these in place. Right. So I'm just going to lift up this edge right here, making sure that this is nice and snug down. And I'm going to glue that band in place. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And they're stuck. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a tack to keep the flaps down. This can also be done with tape or any other way you can think of keeping these flaps secure. So I got myself a couple hundred thumbtacks here. These things are a dime a dozen. I need 2. Make sure they're nice and snug down, and then I'm just going to pop a thumbtack in. And these thumbtacks are a little thicker, or a little bit longer than the thickness of the foam core, so they're going to go into the layer beneath, and that's okay. That's probably why it's there. Right, so now we've got that. If you're using hot glue or any other type of glue, you'd let this set. I'm using super glue for demonstration purposes, so it'll go faster. You can go ahead and tape off. Gonna slide my ruler out. And then I'm going to cut the rest of the way into this to get it out of the way so I can then insert the foam core I want. Now I've already cut most of the way through this earlier, so I'm just cutting the final layer. I've already cut all the way through that. We have ourselves the top part of the jig. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to secure it to the bottom with some tape, and we are ready to start cutting. If you cut a little bit deeper than absolutely necessary, this bottom layer may start getting some grooves in it, that's okay because you're going to be cutting in the same spot every time anyway with the guide. So don't have to worry about that. But if you want to, you can always just untape it and change the bottom wear. So. I have used these for several thousand cuts and they hold up very well. A lot of it comes down to how you treat the things, but if you're making shallow cuts and not really being rough with them, these things will last a long time. I've been using other ones for probably 20 or 30 boards, and I haven't noticed any deviation whenever I'm measuring my board or my squares that I cut out. They're all right around that 1.5 inch mark. I may see a tolerance of about 64th to 32nd, but generally it's right on. All right, let's go ahead and start cutting. So I'm going to go reinsert my straight edge. Fold the small lips down, big lips over. And it looks like I need tape today. Okay. And we're ready to start cutting. You can also make these jigs for more than just the base squares. They look great for stripping down 2-inch strips for walls, and can be really adjusted to anything. But works great. You get a strip that's the same on both ends, and you can do that all day long.